Welcome to another episode of Sons of Thunder, and we are continuing on our angelic subject, where we are dealing with different types of angels. Last time we had archangels, we had messengers, and cherubim, and Sean, we're going to start it off with seraphim today, right?
Yeah, we are, but we're also going to go into some other stuff too, like watcher angels, and the one I'm particularly interested in is guardian angels. So I hope people stick through the video.
Yeah, guardian angels, that's different.
Yeah.
So let's start off with seraphim. Let's talk about seraphim.
Yeah, they're described as having 6 wings and are often associated with the worship and praise of God. Fearsome-looking creatures, pretty scary to behold, I think.
Yeah,
pretty hard to draw too. Look at that.
Now that picture, I would say, is one of the best renditions I've seen of seraphim. But at the same time, I guess we have to. I've heard a lot of people see seraph means like a snake,
Yeah.
right, of some sort. Seraphim is like a bright, fiery snake.
Maybe even burning or something like that.
Maybe even a fire. Yeah. Which that's why that looks like it could be. It has 6. They have 6 wings. Isaiah talks about them, but that's really all we get. Like, we don't see much more of seraphim anywhere else in the scripture.
They're just mentioned, but they're in the scripture, so it's important, but they are just mentioned.
Yeah, which is really weird because the cherubim that we mentioned last episode, they're mentioned a lot. They're put on, the tabernacle. They're put on all over the place. They're talked about. They're seen.
Yeah, but as much as they're mentioned, people still draw them as babies with wings, which makes no sense.
Yes.
Because, I mean, how you read about them in the Bible when you get a cherub as a baby with wings is beyond me. I don't understand it.
I don't know. Yeah. So seraphim aren't drawn as babies as wings, not even like snake babies or something like that. But
I don't think they're drawn all that very often because you can't draw them well. The descriptions of them seem so bizarre and wild.
Yeah, and what they're named makes you think one way or another. So we're just kind of mentioning this as, hey, this is another type of angelic being that we've seen before. But we kind of just got to move on from them because we don't know much about them. They're never seen before again. We never hear about them again. The description of them isn't even any more detailed than what we got out of the 6 wings.
Well, if you look at the big verse that's about them is Isaiah 6, 1 through 7. And some people say possibly Revelation 4, 6. But anyway, Isaiah 6 says, "In the year of King Uzziah's death, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, lofty and exalted, with the train of his robe filling the temple. Seraphim stood above him, each having 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called out to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory."
Yeah, so even from that picture, the picture's a little bit off because 2 was covering the face and 2 covering the feet, and then 2 it flew. So it wouldn't be all 6 out like that picture, right?
Yeah.
But that's because that's what Isaiah saw. But this could be, we have no idea.
Yeah, it's hard to conceive how the drawing would even be rendered.
Right, yeah. I mean, to me, that's the best rendering of it I've seen. All right, so let's go to the next one where we're kind of going a little bit more in depth to. We know that angels that sin or do wrong against God become what?
The demonic devil. Demons, yeah.
So if you could put this next one up, we got, that's a picture from like Revelation, right? Michael.
Yeah, that's supposed to be, it's supposed to be from, was it Revelation 12, 7 through 9, I believe it is.
Nice. And so we have, these are the ones that have fallen, the fallen angels that become demons. And these demons, we have to, start following Satan and everything, right?
Yeah, that the one above, I believe, is supposed to be the archangel Michael, who's casting them down out of heaven.
Which, as we go through this episode and the last one, we see the different types and the different rankings, because we talked about archangels last time, and now that we're dealing with, regular messenger angels that have sinned and wronged, and Michael has to deal with them, or Michael has to issue judgment out on them or whatever.
Yeah, he's the agent that God happened to use. And God he uses agents, his angels, his messengers for various duties and whatnot. And that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so if you can put that next verse up, this is from Revelation 12, 7 through 9. If you can read that for us.
Okay. And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, the serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
So we have a third of the innumerable. So Satan takes a third of that. And those become the demons, which is a lot of demons, but obviously not as much as the good side. So the good side always prevails. But when we're talking about demons, we see that they're following, the head guy, the head angelic who fell. They call him the serpent of old, the deceiver, Satan. So we know that is the serpent in the garden who deceived our great grandmother, right?
That's right. And I think it's interesting that he's a dragon too. I just do. Like, if you go back to that picture we had there, I love this. Now, it's not exactly accurate because those guys look like Vikings. That looks like a Viking ship, and that dragon looks like he's out of WoW, World of Warcraft. But it's such a cool picture, and the Bible does call him a dragon. So I wanted to leave for us to use this.
I think dragons, in my science field, I think that dragons were a real animal. So when they're referring to a dragon, they know what you're talking about. It's a wicked animal coming at you.
I don't think they had wings, though.
I think some did.
Did it? You think? All right. Well, we'll see.
But a pterodactyl could be called a dragon.
I reckon it could.
So Satan takes a third of these angels, and they become demons. Demons, we see them being cast out of people by tormenting them all the time. We see them torturing people, right? I wouldn't say they live in hell, as everybody acts and the cartoons make them out to be. That,
who knows?
This is the kingdom of hell and Satan's ruling it. That stuff's not happening because they don't want to be down there.
They're somehow bound by it, though. God has bound them in some ways. Otherwise, they'd just wipe us all out. They have their ministry too. They're angels. They have a ministry towards humanity, and that ministry is one of evil, though. Unlike the other angels, which is generally good and positive and favorable towards humanity, these ones have the absolute negative.
Yeah, and so before we go to the opposite of what a demon does, demons torment, we'll go into guardians, and they protect. Before we do that, though, the person that everybody says these demons followed is Satan. And everybody says he's Lucifer in the Bible.
Right, that's what I've heard.
There's no proof of that. Once again, Isaiah gives us in Isaiah 14, 12 through 21. Look it up yourselves because you need to read this yourself and look into the wordage yourself to understand it. But it just says the guy is a man. It says you're a man. Yeah. You're not anything bigger than that. You tried to make your throne higher.
Yeah.
You tried to bring yourself to heaven, but you're nothing. And
a lot of people say this was a king, and by the way, this is from the past. It's not something supposed to be future.
Right. Yeah.
So why? Man, not a spiritual being.
But I think the only reason they take Lucifer and say, well, that's Satan, is because of the very beginning where it says you fell from heaven. Right. Okay, well, that could just be a poetic way of saying you were on top of the world type of deal, right?
And maybe you were even favored. Maybe they were favored by God. He was favored by God at the time, and he fell from that place.
Yeah, and if you read the passage, it's all about you need to accept humility. You're not as good as you think you are, and you aren't anywhere close to me, God. So Lucifer is not Satan. So let's stop saying that Satan is Lucifer, and don't put the name Lucifer on anything that has to deal with Satan. The third of the angels did not follow Lucifer out of heaven. Okay, they followed this devil.
Yeah.
So let's go to guardian angels then. All right, another kind of type of angels. Demons destroy us. Guardian angels protect us, right? We can have the next verse up. If you read that from Matthew 18.
Matthew 18:10 says, "Take heed that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I say to you that in heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven." This is not a lot of verbiage on guardian angels. There's more that we could bring up. But this one seems pretty clear, that there are angels that are ever in front of God's face that seem to be assigned or looking after or watching over at the very least these little ones. He's talking about children, I reckon.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of. I've heard. Let's put it this way: I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, I had a guardian angel that day," right? Because something happened. My car flipped 3 times in the air and bashed into a tree, and I came out barely scathed, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Other stories say they think they saw something, either stopping a car or stopping an animal hitting them, or stopping their death in some way.
There's plenty of anecdotal stuff to go around about that, to be sure.
And we also see too that from our last episode where we talked about how there are angels that watch over us and see different things that we do.
Yeah, that's going into our last one here.
They know what we're doing. They know how we're going to interact and what we're going to do. And so God might have those certain angels to just, make sure this person doesn't get into this much problems. Which is cool. If we each have a guardian angel, that's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if we do, though. I think it would correspond that we have a demonic tempter. If we each have an angelic guardian, we probably each have a demonic tempter too. Yeah.
You think Satan has Sean? This is demon 1
is
going to watch Sean.
Yeah,
and then God has angel 2 watching Sean.
I'll tell you what. That's getting a bit speculative. But I'll tell you what. If anybody wants to get into the speculative stuff that is at least somewhat biblical based, or it's largely so, read the book Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, which kind of goes into the realm of the angelic and the demonic.
Especially the demonic. It talks about this.
And it's a good way of thinking of how things actually might be going on.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. I really recommend it.
All right, so we have guardian angels. We have seraphim. We have demons. No Lucifer. Let's go to our last one, which we've been hinting to for the past couple weeks, even with talking about angels and messengers and archangels and the book of Enoch, watchers, right?
Yeah.
We could put that up from Daniel 4. In Daniel 4, we see the proof of watchers.
Yeah, one of them. It says, "I saw in the visions of my head while on my bed, and there was a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven."
So this is definitely different than a seraphim or cherubim or an archangel.
Certainly a different word for it.
And he's saying watcher, as if we know there's a difference between the two, or between the difference of each type. And these watchers, I think they just do what they're told. What their name is. They watch, right? If we can have that next verse up, we see further on in 17. Go ahead, read that.
"This decision is by the decree of the watchers, and the sentence by the word of the holy ones, in order that the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, gives it to him whomever he will, and sets over it the lowest of men."
So watchers seem to have a right to do things and make decrees. Maybe unlike Michael and the archangels. It seems like Michael's that right-hand man, and he's the top dog with Gabriel, but God still tells him to go do this. Seems like God kind of lets the leash a little bit further for watchers, and they can make their own decisions, or at least make their own decrees.
Well, it could be, too, that it describes what they do to a degree. Like it says in 1 Peter 1:12 that angels desire to look into what's going on with humanity. Salvation and, sin and redemption are all things that they don't understand, because when they fell, it was forever. There's no salvation for them.
Right.
I mean,
you're done.
That was it, because they were already in heaven and they decided to rebel. So that's it. They can't be saved by faith. They were there.
Yep.
Faith cannot save them. They knew and they still rejected God. So they don't understand salvation. The ones that are saved don't. Certainly the demonic don't. Look, in 1 Peter 1:12, it says, to them it was revealed that not to yourselves, but to us, they were ministering the things which now have been reported to you through those who have preached the gospel to you by the Holy Spirit sent from heaven. Listen to this. Things which angels desire to look into.
Right.
They want to watch. They want to understand this. Their beings are thousands of years old, but they don't know everything, and they don't understand everything.
Yeah.
And they desire
They're
to
not
look.
God.
So they're watching.
Yeah, they're watching. But I would also say that from what we see from Daniel, that these watchers aren't only watching in enjoyment or watching in studying, but they're also having decrees. They're also condemning. They condemn Nebuchadnezzar to a punishment for a good time. Yeah. And that's because God said, this is your job as a watcher. I want you to watch and then make a decree, and the decree came down. It said in Daniel that the decree came down from the watchers. Usually whenever we see angels interact with humanity, they say, Yahweh says this, God says this, I've come from the Father and say this, right?
Right.
Watchers are saying, this came from us. We're telling you this. Which is some authority that other angels don't seem to get.
Yeah, but it still comes from God, though, anyway. So, I hear what you're saying, though. Yeah, he seems to refer to it in that regard.
Yeah, and so with what I like about doing these past two episodes is it shows us that it's not just angels. There's different rankings. There's different types. And those rankings and types are important in their own light that God has set them, but they are vastly different. We are not having cherubim and seraphim come down and, mingle with us like we do with those messengers that we might, never know we ran across,
Well, and one of the things I get it from, though, is you can be certain we are not alone. And I'm not talking about aliens. I don't know much about that.
Stop with aliens.
But we're not. There are angelic beings around us, and not all of them are good, and certainly not all of them are evil. And I just think that that's a fascinating and also sometimes scary, sometimes comforting kind of thought to have.
Yeah, they're out there watching us and all around for the good and bad, but God's on our side, so and there's more of them than there are the bad. Right?
Yeah, don't bother praying to angels. Pray to God. He'll see to the angels for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Pray to God. They'll be there when you need them, and God,
He'll send His
Lord
guardians over you. Right?
Yeah.
Jesus even mentions that when he's being tempted by the devil.
Yeah.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed these past two episodes where we deal with the angelic. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please subscribe and like at the bottom. We'll see another episode of Sons of Thunder.